Hey guys, Nick here. Like I promised last week, I am going to try and do these videos a little more often. So let's take a look at the forecast for June 26th of 2023. This is mainly for the central Gulf Coast, southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and lower Alabama, though it's probably applicable for many places. And as a reminder, you can always get the app. That way you can have a forecast whenever you want it. And you can download it to whatever phone you got. You got an Apple, go for it. You got an Android, go for it. You got a different Android, go for it. You got an super old iPod Touch. No, that's not going to work for the old iPod Touch. But if you've got an Apple or Android, it should work out for you. We do have some storms possible as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours across the area. The HER model guidance here on the left is showing that showers and storms possible as we head through the early morning hours tomorrow morning, somewhere between about 2 and 5 or 6 a.m. These storms are likely to be non-severe. Could they be severe? Sure. I don't think we can rule it out given the sounding, which is off on the right there. That's that chart. It's a skew T, or sometimes we call it a sounding, showing that we've got plenty of instability in the area, but we also don't have a lot of shear, so there's not going to be a lot of organization with any storms that do develop. These would be likely looking like the storms we've seen the last few days in terms of if you do get a cluster of these that can cluster together, you may get something known as an MCS. That's just a big cluster of thunderstorms all moving in the same direction and producing a whole lot of heavy rain, a whole lot of lightning, and some pretty gusty wind. So we saw that this morning across the area. We saw it yesterday morning across parts of the area. And so this just may continue while we're in this northwesterly flow. You just end up with showers and thunderstorms that develop across parts of Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri, and even parts of Louisiana in some cases. And then they kind of cluster together and they dive toward the Gulf of Mexico. So don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow morning at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock and Mother Nature is your alarm clock instead of the phone next to your bed or the regular old alarm clock. The real story likely is going to be just how hot it is. A lot of you folks are probably feeling that already. Here are the temperatures as we head through the next 2 days. You can see the heat index values on here up around 110 to maybe even approaching 115 degrees in some places. The map on the right, that's darker reds with those cooler temperatures, are an indication that showers and thunderstorms are in the area. And instead of kind of saying, oh, well, great, I live in Birmingham or Tuscaloosa, so I'm going to be nice and cold. No, I wouldn't bank on that. Instead, I would look at that and say, well, if I do get a shower or thunderstorm, that will help to cool things down for an hour or two back into the low 80s or even the upper 70s in some cases. But just as soon as the sun comes back out, we're going to ramp the temperatures right back up. It may help put a lid on just how hot you get in the afternoon, but it won't get rid of the heat. And the National Weather Service is really pushing the fact that it is going to be very, very warm. They've got all kinds of different heat advisories. An excessive heat warning. And I think they've got 3 of them going, 3 different ones across parts of the area from 3 different weather services. They all mean the same thing. It's going to be hot with heat index values up over 108 degrees pretty much across the area, which is dangerous. That's when we go from typical, Gulf Coast heat in the summer where, so it's 90 or 95. Big deal. It's going to feel like 100. We deal with this all the time. This little shift from 100 to 105 with the heat index to 105 to 110 to 115 changes things to, it's no longer just, it's hot. It's hot and it could be dangerous. So the excessive heat continues, as you can see here from the National Weather Service in New Orleans as well as in Jackson, pointing out the different places. And even our friends at the National Weather Service in Mobile getting in on the party with a reminder there of how to stay cool, which is limit your time outside if you can. If you have to work outside, take plenty of breaks. If you start to feel nauseous or you get lightheaded, just make sure you get to some cooler air, at the very least in front of a fan, but hopefully into some air conditioning. They always tell you to wear kind of lighter clothes and cover up as much as your body as you can. I know that sounds kind of weird to think it's hot outside, put on like a long sleeve shirt or pants, but when you factor in how hot it feels with the sun beaming down on you, you start to realize how much nicer it is to have something that's light and light colored on you to help reflect some of that of the sun's energy. This weekend's forecast is looking equally as warm, albeit we will have some maybe slightly better chances for rain, particularly Saturday night and then again on Sunday. We may end up with more overnight storms Saturday night and into Sunday morning, and then we may end up with some extra showers and thunderstorms Sunday afternoon to help kind of keep us cool. The temperatures here on the left are the heat index values for Saturday, and then you've got your 48-hour rainfall totals ending, late Sunday night into Monday morning, trying to pick up all the rain we get as we head over the weekend, somewhere between a half inch to an inch of rain. If you end up underneath some of the heavier thunderstorms, up to an inch of rain, and in some places, no rain at all. It's just going to be, frankly, hot for you. And here's a look at that weekend forecast kind of broken down. The main concern this weekend is going to be the temperatures as we head through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoons, mainly between about 1 o'clock and probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon or early evening. And then each day we've got a chance for some cloud cover and some extra showers and thunderstorms. It looks like on Sunday there I goofed and didn't put the chance for rain and storms in the evening, but there will be a chance for rain and storms in the evening. It'll also be overnight as we head through Saturday night into Sunday morning, but of course this starts at 6 a.m., this ends at 9 p.m., so it's in between there that we're looking for probably the best bet for rain overnight Saturday and into Sunday. Your 4th of July forecast may actually feature more showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon in the area. This is still a wait-and-see kind of forecast because most of these are going to be dictated by just how much daytime heating we get, how close that ridge of high pressure is going to be. We may have a secondary trough in the area, maybe another boundary. There's still a lot to shake out in terms of the forecast for about a week from now for the 4th of July, but you can see it there on Monday and into Tuesday. I think we're still pretty warm on Monday. We may be able to ease back on that a little bit on Tuesday, just given the slightly better chance for showers and thunderstorms a little bit earlier in the day. Again, if you keep the app nearby, it'll update for you about every 6 hours. Truly in the short term, I have the computer update things every 3 hours. In the longer term, it's every 6 hours. And I think once you get beyond day 7, it's every 12 hours is how we had it set up. Looking even farther down the street, I wanted to point something out real quick. Once we get past the 4th of July and toward kind of the middle to end of next week, that the overall pattern is shifting slightly, but not as much as it was indicating a couple days ago. Originally we were thinking that we were going to flip kind of this whole pattern on its head. The big ridge of high pressure that slid in gave us all this heat was going to back way back to the west, stay strong, and actually leave us in kind of this weird northwesterly flow, but with no lower than normal pressure in the area. And instead, what we got this morning from the model guidance, that's on the left there, was an area of low pressure in the region, which looks a little bit, honestly, the map that was on the left here looks a little bit like what we had about 10 days ago, which is what set us up with all the shower, thunderstorm, and severe weather activity across parts of the southeast. But it also looks like a situation where we spread those ridges of high pressure apart and we open up the Gulf of Mexico for anything in the tropics that wants to get into the Gulf to either slide toward Texas or slide toward Florida. With that little area of low pressure in there, it does kind of tend to save the central Gulf Coast because stuff either gets picked up and pulled out toward Florida or picked up and pulled back toward Texas. What we saw this afternoon with the model guidance was something a little bit different. That ridging wasn't quite as stout and was maybe a little farther off to the south and then across parts of Texas, Mexico, and the Four Corners region. And the area of high pressure out into the open Atlantic was a little bit stronger, which means that instead of talking about stuff bending toward Florida or bending toward Texas, now everybody's open. And everything is open for business in the Gulf of Mexico if we get anything out there in the tropics. And the question becomes, do we get anything out in there in the tropics? And the short answer right now, according to the model guidance, is not really. We may have a couple of waves out there, out into the open Atlantic in the main development region. We may have what's left over of Cindy trying to reform in the next couple of days. But overall, I don't think we're talking about much in the way of an active tropics as we move past day 7 and toward day 10, 11, and 12, toward kind of the end of next week. That may change once we get beyond that, or as we move forward in time, we may move the puzzle pieces even more and set the tropics up for being a little more active. But right now, given the latest available model data that you're looking at there, it doesn't look like things are going to be too terribly active. But that is a good reminder that you can keep up with all of this on the app anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My team of 5 interns, 5 weather forecasting interns, and 2 Python interns are doing our best to keep all the data flowing and keep you updated, not only about the threat for afternoon showers and thunderstorms, not only the threat for potentially severe weather here and there, not only the threat for dangerous high temperatures, not only what's happening in the tropics, but also all of that and what's happening just outside your back door. So we work really hard to keep you as informed as possible, and that includes these videos that I'm trying to put together a little more often. So this is your forecast update for June 26th of 2023. I greatly appreciate you grabbing the forecast here from Nickel Block Forecasting.